Hi, welcome back to Lovin Sheila, the podcast shorts. I want to jump right into it today. I want to talk to you about shame. It's something that none of us are happy to discuss, and none of us are happy to say that, we are ashamed of anything. But if I'm being honest, I have dealt with some shame over the last couple of years. And I was doing some studying and research and whatnot. It was talking about shame is falling from where we are. Okay, biblically speaking, falling from where we are supposed to be, where God has placed us. And when we fell from grace, we made some decisions. We became, naked and ashamed, whereas before we were naked and unashamed. And so it caused and I want to bring this to today's times. It causes us to be, or causes us to want to cover our perceived vulnerabilities. And I have absolutely experienced that over the last few years. I can recall, and this is a day that it really came to me when I was going with my son to his college, like orientation or whatnot, and I was like going as a single woman, and I was like, oh, when I had a thought and I was like, I should put my ring on because I didn't want to deal with the what I thought would be shameful of being um, a single parent. And I'm not saying that is something to be ashamed of, but I think because in my mind I had worked so hard to, get married and have a child and raise a child. So for me to be approaching this milestone alone, it caused some shame for me. And so I did not do that. I did not succumb. I recognized it. I was mindful of what was happening with me and I embraced where I was. But at the same time, there was something that was pricking me to say, Sheila, you might want to cover this up. You might not want to represent yourself this way. And so that's just a little bit of me trying to share some of my vulnerability or some of my instances of shame with you. And one of the things I learned in my study is it comes sometimes from a loss of intimacy, or it can come from a loss of intimacy, because when you're in a safe place, when you're in an environment when everyone is accepting of you, loving of you, you're not really shameful. Then you don't have anything to be ashamed of because everyone's going to love you unconditionally. But sometimes events take place in our life that cause us to feel a little isolated and a little ashamed. And sometimes it could be divorce. I mean, I've said in my therapy, I've said to my therapist, I feel like I failed. And, you know, she had to remind me, you did not fail. You did everything that you knew to do. You did your absolute best. That's not failure, but in my mind, because of societal pressures and whatnot, or what I wanted to put on me, I deemed it as failure. And so I had to reprogram my thoughts, what I've mentioned as my stinking thinking, um, and so forth. And so I had to reprogram myself because my defense, my defenses made me want to cover it up, to not share anything. And that's why Lovin Sheila was birthed, because I was like, in Lovin Sheila, I cannot sit here and act like I'm perfect or act like everything is hunky dory in my life. I have situations, I have trials, I have difficulties that I am overcoming and that I'm consciously overcoming, that I'm leaning into to address, to be a better person, to love myself better and more completely, to even accept myself. Okay. So I'm leaning into it, I'm walking into it, and it's taught me one thing I said previously is in a safe environment where you're loved, you don't feel ashamed. So I took control of that and I said, I'm going to love myself and I'm going to make sure I take care of myself and I'm going to give myself a safe place. And I'm going to not mask my vulnerabilities or not mask my shame or the things that I've been through, because some things that I went through, I was ashamed because I felt like I allowed myself to be in that position, or I tolerated things that I shouldn't have tolerated or that were not in my best interest. And yet I did it. And so when I tell my story, sometimes I'm like, I don't believe I did that. I can't believe I accepted that. I can't believe I went through that. I can't believe that's my life. But as I've leaned into it, and I'm accepting that is my life. And that's where I was at that time. And it was worth it to me during that season. But now when I'm connecting, or I have connected with people, I want them to see me and all of me. And so I'm able to present myself in more of a vulnerable condition. And, people get to know me and they know my scars. They know my flaws. They know my pain. They know who I am. And so they get to see more of me and the woman that I become through this process. And so instead of, being in my shame, it has become my strength, my courage, my testimony. So I've turned it around. I've, as we talked about previously, I've repurposed my pain. And so it's unfolding. It's unfolding. I haven't arrived. There's so many things that, I have body image issues. I think that's why I work out so much. And so I'm still working on the shame of not to be, trying to be perfect, and not accepting what I don't feel is perfect. And, I'm trying to love myself and accept those parts of me that I don't like too much. I'm trying to love me and all of me. And it's a work in progress. Like I said, it's unfolding, you know. And another thing with the shame, like I mentioned just a moment ago, when I said, like, I went through this, I can't believe I accepted this or whatever. Instead of making that my bad, I'm been told, and I'm learning to put the badness on whatever perpetrator, because I accepted whatever I accepted, or I went through, or I tolerated whatever. It doesn't minimize me or my self-worth or my value or my self-esteem. Some people might do bad things. Some people may not see me completely, and that's on them. So for me, I have to be mindful. And so that's what I want to encourage you all to do. Shame can sneak up on us. Shame happens, okay? Um, it does. It's just, people say crap happens, shame happens. But what we need to do is make sure that we are overcoming, that we are aware, that we are mindful of our triggers, mindful of those things that bring apart our shame, and remember to live in a safe place, a place of acceptance, a place of peace, a place where you can be authentically you. And when you're in a place where you can be authentically you, there's not so much shame involved. You can minimize that, and you can reduce it, and you can eliminate it. And I understand it's a process. It's a process that I'm working through right now. But I want my life to be large. I want my, you know, property to be huge, meaning my property, that the boundaries of my life and how far I can go and how I can excel. And in order to do that, I have learned, or I'm learning, to accept me, to love me, to value me for my bad decisions. I saw a shirt this weekend that said, bad decisions make for good stories. And I've made some bad decisions. And I think I've told some good stories here on Lovin Sheila. So, just embracing that without shame. I could tell you so many things that would seem a little odd, but it's my story. It's what makes me me. And we have to lean into that. We have to embrace it. And the folks who don't embrace it, who can't appreciate that about you, are not meant for you, are not meant to be in your tribe, are not meant to be in your network, are not the people who are going to love you and love you flaws and all. And we our good parts and our not so good parts. They're going to love you for who you are. So I'm exposing myself. I'm confronting the shame of my past, my decisions uh, that I've made, and I am reprogramming myself and reprogramming my thoughts and reprogramming the way I look at the things that have brought me here. Because if I did not experience all those things, and if I didn't feel some of those things, I could not learn. I would not have grown the way I have. And so I embrace that as part of my stories. And I'm grateful that I can tell it, and I tell it from a victorious place. And that is a magnificent thing. And so I hope any of you who are dealing with shame can learn to put it behind you. It has no place. It's okay in a safe place, in the right environment. You can be free to release your vulnerabilities, and you will be loved, and you will not be ridiculed or criticized, and you will be accepted. And they will love on you, and they will encourage you, and they will, give you what you need to move forward, to get over it, and live a happy, empowered life and love yourself. Because until we love ourselves, who's really going to be able to love us? We have to first love ourselves. I truly believe that. And so that way we're giving them our authentic self, and allowing them to see who we are so they can truly love who we are and not who we present ourselves as. So I hope that helped you. Shame has been in my life for some time, and I am unpacking it, getting rid of it. I'm throwing it away. I've done my spring cleaning, and that will no longer be a part of my story. I'm just washing my hands of it, and I pray that you will as well. Thank you for watching me today on Lovin Sheila Shorts. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share.